You're here. Welcome to the Masterminding Success podcast. They say if you want to be successful in business and in life, then surround yourself with successful people. So pull up a seat. The mastermind is about to begin.
So how come we can drink a drink, but we don't food a food?
That's a good question. That's the English language for you.
Exactly. Oh, hey, you made it. Glad you could join us for another episode of the Masterminding Success podcast. We're your hosts, Keith Wheeler
And Nuria Corby.
And what are we going to be talking about today, Nuria?
Today is a really good topic. Again, it's finding success.
Yeah, finding success. It's something that everybody, when you're creating a business, whether it's online or an actual, physical business, success is what we all strive for. I think one of the first things we need to do is, and this is early on when, before you even really start your business, is define what success is to you as the business owner. Because if you don't define it, then you really, how do you know when you've reached it, when you've accomplished that goal?
Yes, that's absolutely right. And I think success means something different to everybody. My idea of success might be a completely different idea to yours of success. I don't know. We're probably quite similar, but I imagine different people have different ideas of success. But I think in this podcast, we're talking about the typical success that we expect as a business owner, that kind of monetary success.
Right.
Whereas I always think being successful is being happy, and that is success in itself. But we're talking about success in a monetary sense, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, for most people, when they're creating a business, yes, it's going to be monetary. The amount is, might be different. It might just be, especially if they're doing an online business, they might just want to start off and just make enough money they can quit their 9 to 5. Some people say fire their boss or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
But for other people, they may have bigger ideas. It may come to not just monetary, but also, want to help out their community. They want to be famous or whatever their goals are. And I think, as you're starting to define what success looks like to you, I think you need to start off by being really realistic. When you're first starting a business, thinking that you're going to be making 6 figures is probably not a realistic initial goal.
No, I agree. And I think defining your goals is a lot to do with success. I mean,
right.
Being successful is really about having goals and achieving those goals. So I think, yes, you need to kind of find what your goals are, what your understanding of success is, and then try and work towards that. But I find it, we were trying to sort of talk about defining success, and I find it really difficult because it keeps changing for me. And I'm sure that happens to lots of people. I think of success as something now that may not be what I think of later on as success, or my feelings of success have changed from when I was younger. I thought success was something completely different. So I think it can change. It's hard to define for me at the moment, but I think we all have sort of an idea of what we want to achieve. And then if we achieve that, we feel successful, or we feel we have achieved success, and then we'll think of something else. That's
right. Yeah.
It's further.
Agreed. Yeah. It's something that I think is ever changing, and I think that's a good thing. I think that when we especially in business, if you become stagnant and you just kind of stay at the status quo, then you're not going to grow.
Absolutely.
And so it's definitely something that is okay for it to change. And I think I agree a lot with what you were saying, that defining it is hard for people. And it's one of those things where it's like they feel like they'll know it when they see it, and that's not always the case. And I find it even more important to, and this again, like you were saying, goes back to goal setting, is I find it important to at least have an idea, maybe not a precise, like if we're talking about dollar amount, maybe not a precise dollar amount, but I want to be able to, after I pay all my bills for the business and everything else, I need to, I'd like to be making, enough to do X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
Because one thing in business, and we've talked about this before, is it's not easy. There are these, you go on YouTube or whatever, and you see these ads that say, 3 easy steps that, you can make a passive income and all this other stuff. And it's not easy, but I don't think it's meant to be. It's, if it was, then everybody would do it.
Well, this is it, we'd all be successful. But I kind of feel, I think it has a lot to do with happiness and being content with something, because I feel successful right now, and I haven't achieved everything that I want to achieve yet, but I'm happy with what I have achieved. And I think a lot of that is the feeling of feeling successful. It may not be what somebody else thinks as successful. Oh, you're not earning enough to be successful, but I'm happy with what I have achieved. So to me, that is success. That is finding success. And now I'm building on that. So I think you have to reach, maybe it's in levels of success.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
So, yeah, I think, and I'm happy now. I feel successful. I feel happy, and I feel confident to go forward. And I think once you reach the first level, if there is such a thing, then it gets a little bit easier, because you can achieve it. It gives you that bit of confidence that you can then build on that. So I think the most difficult part is to find that first level of success, that feeling of thinking, yes, I am successful. I'm making a success of this, of what I'm doing. So that is the most important thing for me, I think, having found that first step or that first level. What do you think?
No, I agree. I think that, it's one thing when I was saying about, that it's not easy is, having some kind of goal, some kind of, again, you don't have to, reach that right now, but having a target, having something to look at makes it, it kind of keeps you in line. At least for me, it does. When you get those days that aren't easy, and it's easier to quit than it is to keep going. It's important to at least have some kind of target to look at and be like, oh, that's right, that's why I'm doing this. Now, that target doesn't have to be monetary. It can be, I want to, I just want to do this business. It's something I enjoy doing, and I want to help others and create something that others enjoy, or whatever the business model is for you. Those are all very, very legitimate goals, and again, what you consider success is going to differ from person to person. I agree that what you were saying, you need to, it is easier once you reach that quote first step, whatever that is for you. It could just be something as simple as, I started a business.
Absolutely.
I opened my doors, whether it's physically or, virtually, and I've created the business. I'm my own boss. That's success in and of itself. And
publishing your first book, even.
Publishing your
That's
first
a big
book,
one.
publishing your first YouTube video, whatever, again, whatever your goal is, looking at those little things, focusing on those, so that way those are what's going to keep you, it's like if you're going upstairs, if you live on the second floor, you're not going to jump from the ground floor to the second floor. You need to take each step at a time. Exactly. And so if you look at that as, each of these milestones, when you first starting a business, it's, it may take a while before you're turning a profit. And when that's, whether it's a physical business or virtual. And so knowing that going in, and knowing, so maybe, your first step is to, break even. That's, to you, breaking even is going to be your first step towards success. Like that's, and that is a very, realistic and acceptable, the goal. I mean, I don't think there's really such thing as, a wrong answer to, to what success is to you. It's just a matter of figuring. I do think it's important as a business owner to figure out what it's going to look like, so that way when things do get hard, and they will, especially early on,
Yeah.
that you have something that you can look at and say, that's right, that's what I'm going for.
Yeah. Yeah. I think, most people, they think of success of having the big flashy car, the big house, the suits, the clothes, and all of those things don't mean anything to me. I don't aspire to those things. I just feel that I want to be free to do whatever I want to do, and to help other people, and to just be happy in other different ways. I don't need a big car for that. I just need to be able to have the little things in life that make life nicer, that having your providing for your children, providing for your family, that kind of thing, to me is success. So it's not I'm not setting my goals too high, really.
Right.
But to me, that is already something that to me is aspirational, or something that I want to aspire to. And anything else is just a bonus. And I think there are two types of people. There are the type of people that look at success as the monetary things, the big house, the car. But then there's another type of success that's more sustainable, or that's more organic, that's more, more real in a way. It just depends what kind of person you are. You're going to aim for one or the other, I think. And and maybe there are more than two paths as well. So I'm not sure, but obviously the lower you set your goals, the quicker you're going to find success, and then you can build on that. So I think for me, if anybody would ask me, what do you think you should do to be successful, I think it's to not set your goals too high, because once you achieve, it's the same I was saying earlier. If you feel you've achieved certain success, it's then easier to achieve the next level. So don't set your goals too high. You can do that later, set them as high as you want, but just to get that initial confidence, I think you need to set them a bit lower, and then achieve that, and then step by step, like you said earlier, you don't want to fly right all the way up. You can go step by step and achieve success that way. So I think it's a lot of mindset that has to do with it as well.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, like you said, there is no right or wrong answer.
No.
It's really going to be based on that individual. But I agree that you want to set realistic expectations right off the bat, and like you said, even ones that are maybe a little bit easier to attain than what you initially set as a goal, just to give that positive reinforcement. Because as human beings, we want positive reinforcement. Be honest, there's way too much negativity in this world that we can all use a little bit more positive reinforcement. And I remember back when I was a kid, and in school we used to get those little gold stars if we did something right, and we'd have a competition in the class to see who got the most gold stars or whatever. So, and they were usually given out for little things, whether it was getting, you didn't have to get a perfect on your paper, you just had to get it done or whatever, just little things, cleaning up your mess, whatever. So again, little things to kind of give you that endorphin boost that you need.
That's what it is,
to keep going.
It's that feeling, that confidence in what you're doing.
Right. Because like I said, especially when you're first starting out, there is going to be so much negativity that you're going to see, whether it's you're creating an online business, and you get that, you open your doors virtually and nobody comes, you need to get, set that first, gold star, if you will, and be like, I started it. I opened the doors. It's again, like you said, it's mindset. It's on how you look at it. It's not one of those things where, if you build it, they will come. There's going to be things that you're going to have to do to kind of let people know you're there, and
so
get those people in there before you can start, seeing even more success. But yeah, it all starts off with I really do think it all starts off with setting a goal. Both I think both long-term goals, like what is success, like final success, look like for you. What's your end goal, and even that is going to change, because once you get there, you're not going to be, most entrepreneurs are kind of like artists where they're never satisfied. And
Absolutely.
so we need to, always kind of push that boundary, because again, if you don't, then you'll be stagnant and you'll just kind of, stay at the status quo.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
but I think especially when you first start out, setting realistic goals, and like I said, even and minor, little mini goals, and then the bigger goals as well.
That's right. One thing I've noticed with successful people, and I've spoken to a few when I was teaching English in Spain, I taught a lot of top businessmen that wanted to learn English quickly for their business. They just didn't have time. But one thing from chatting to them, one thing I really noticed is they had a different mindset to the rest of us. They approached everything with the mindset of why not? What's the worst that can happen? They didn't fear failure, or they didn't fear something going wrong. They just went ahead with things. And if it didn't work out, it didn't work out. But that didn't stop them. And
Right.
I think that was something I learned then that was really valuable for me, because I thought, why can I not feel like that? Because I always think 10 times about something, oh, what if this happens? What if that happens? And the funny thing is, it's the time I changed that, the time I thought to myself, let's just do it. Let's just go ahead. Things started falling into place. And I had a light bulb moment there, because I thought, this is the attitude I need to continue having, because I need to just think, let's do it, take action, don't let anything stop you. And what's the worst that can happen, And when I talked to these people about it, they didn't even know what I was talking about. They thought, well, why should I be afraid? What of, what can go wrong? Oh, well, what if this, sometimes they were telling me about a deal or something that they were doing. And I said, well, what if it doesn't work out? Well, if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. No big deal.
Right.
So, and I think we stop ourselves a lot from doing things like, when you start a YouTube channel, or when you start publishing, or anything that we do, we stop ourselves more than anybody else. We just have all these doubts coming in our minds. And I think sometimes we just need to let go of that and be braver. And that's what I found a lot of these people that were successful had in common. They were not afraid to take action and to take that step for their next level of success.
Right.
So what do you think about that?
No.
When you think of people that are successful, what do you think they have in common?
Yeah, I mean, I agree. It really just comes down to, they're I don't want to say risk takers, but more of they don't get too much in their own heads in a negative way.
Yeah.
They trust their experience, they trust their intuition, and they go for it. And if it doesn't work out, like you said, if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. Because the thing is, and this is what I found, a lot of people who are struggling, that they have is, they kind of set themselves up for failure before they even start. Like they've already, it's not going to work out. Like they already have that negative mindset. And so that's, and I said it before, there's so much negativity in this world. We need to be more positive, but at the end of the day, like you said, it's, what do they have to lose? Because the one thing I've seen between people who are successful, quote, successful, and people who are not, is when you face a barrier, when you face negativity, whatever, and you will, it's going to happen.
Yeah.
What do you do with that? What do you do with that failure? Because that's, failure is still a learning moment. What did you learn from it? If you get faced with that barrier and you just stop and you just, that's it, I'm done, then you haven't learned anything. And that's the difference. When, with, like you were saying, the successful people, businessmen, they face negativity, a deal falls through or whatever. Okay, what did I learn? Well, I learned that, maybe if I'm going against this competitor, I need to raise my prices a little bit or lower my prices a little bit. Or maybe I realized that dealing with this type of customer, or that I need to approach things differently. maybe my brand needs to be a little more unique. Maybe it needs to be less unique and more mainstream, whatever you find out. But again, those are the learning moments. Those are the things that are going to take you around those barriers instead of just, hitting a barrier and stopping.
So the more you fail, the more you learn.
Right. Yeah. It really just comes
true.
down to when you fail, because, if you go in not thinking that you're going to fail, in general, again, looking at the end target, not that you're not going to reach that end target, knowing that you're going to, but knowing that along the way, there are going to be failures, then I think you won't be as surprised when they come, and you'll understand that you have two choices. You can either learn something from it or run from it. And if you run from it, if you're running backwards, you're never going to get to that target. If you learn from it, then you learn how to go around it,
Yeah,
and
absolutely. That is so true. I think that is the secret. Really. I wish there was a secret, because then we could bottle it and and everybody could have some.
Yeah.
But I guess there is no secret, because it's different for everybody. But there are certain things that I look at successful people and I try to learn from them. I try to think, well, what do they have in common? Is there something that I can copy? Is it their mindset? Is it the way they deal with their customers? What is it that they all have in common? And the one thing that to me they all had in common talking to them was that they were unafraid of trying new things. They had a very positive attitude, very sort of can-do attitude. And that was one of the things that I noticed they all had. And I think that's part of the reason why they were successful, that positive attitude and not shying away from trying something.
Yeah,
that's why many people stop. Really, they don't publish that first book. They don't make their first YouTube video. They just stop themselves from doing that. What's the worst that can happen?
And one thing that I think that the viewers and listeners should really think about, like if you're thinking about starting a business and you have any kind of doubts in your mind, like, I don't know if this business will work, why would anybody pay for this or anything like that, just keep one thing in mind. We buy bottled water. Okay. Somebody had the idea to take water that everybody had access to, put it in a bottle and put a price tag on it. And as crazy as that is, now you see them everywhere, and again, crazy ideas can really make a huge difference. It's just, they just took that step and said, okay, going in, this is our end goal. And what are some of the barriers you're going to get? People are going to think we're crazy, that we're trying to bottle water and we're trying to charge them for it. And how are we going to react to that? Well, we're going to tell them, we're going to show them, well, this water is filtered as opposed to the stuff you get from your tap. And, this comes from a spring or whatever.
Yeah. Another example, treadmills, all the people that go to the gym running on the treadmill. Do you really need that? You could run outside.
Exactly. So so we know people are going to say, why should I use this? Well, you can't, do you really want to run outside in the cold or in the rain or in the heat? And,
exactly. It's all how you present it.
Yeah. I can hook a TV set and you can watch TV and run, so it's, again, I can go on about success and all day long, but it really, again, just comes down to, setting a target. And then I think finding little targets along the way, little goals along the way, especially when you first start out. But the real big mindset that I found is going in, not with a negative mindset, but with a realistic mindset. First of all, believe in yourself and know that your idea is a viable option. Do some market research, see what, see if it's something people will pay for. But majority of the time, there's still somebody out there that's going to pay for it. It's just a matter of you finding that target audience. And then, like I said, setting little realistic goals. So that way you do get those, shiny gold stars, at somewhat regular intervals. And, that, get that endorphin rush to kind of push through the next hurdle that you might see.
Absolutely. I think there's several steps to becoming successful, and to me, I mean, everybody will have a different opinion on this, but to me, it's mindset more than anything, because that is what shifted for me. I kept trying different things, and I worked really hard. And sometimes it's not about working really hard. Sometimes it's about shifting your mindset and believing that you can do it, because most of the time, if you think you're not going to do it, then you won't. You're right, you won't do it. And you need to kind of be open to the idea that this might work and I can make it work. Have the confidence as well, because it's very easy to be confident once you have achieved something. It's
Right.
much more difficult before that, because you don't know what you're capable of, and once you've achieved it, I've done this, I can do more than that. So it does help once you've reached a certain level of success. And that's why I think it's important to set yourself a goal that you can achieve, to give you that positivity, that confidence, like that's what you said earlier, achieve that, be realistic about it. But once you achieve that, it gives you a boost to then achieve more.
Yeah. I agree. And not to take away from the complexity of that, changing your mindset is probably one of the hardest things you can do.
It is the hardest thing.
But knowing that's the best thing you can do to really better your chances of finding success is, I think, the again, the best thing that you can do, because it really just starts with, before you even start that business. And as you go, like I said, what success looks like to you is going to change. Your mindset might change a little bit, but always knowing that that there are going to be hurdles, but that you can overcome them, you can learn from them. That's the important part, is learning from them, because then the next time they come around, and they'll come around again, you already know how to react. And so I think that's a really big takeaway from this when it comes to finding success. And I would love to hear everybody's success stories, little, how, no matter how big or small they may be. This has been another great mastermind, Nuria. A big thank you to each and every one of you listeners and viewers who came to tag along. If you'd enjoyed today's mastermind, it would mean the world to us if you'd follow or subscribe to the podcast on your favorite listening platform. And while you're at it, go on and leave us a review. What are we going to be talking about next week, Nuria?
Next week, Keith, we're talking about done is better than perfect. And again, that's a really good topic for me to talk about. I could talk about that for hours.
That is so true. That is something that I learned early on and really made a world of difference. So that will definitely be a good one.
It will be.
Until next time, I'm Keith Wheeler.
And I'm Nuria Colby.
Have a good one.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for joining the Mastermind today. Be sure to follow the podcast on your platform of choice and tell a friend who would enjoy it too. Your support is greatly appreciated. This has been the Masterminding Success Podcast.